Okay, we're headed to Knoxville for our weekly visit with Tony Basilio. He too, I am convinced, is a Journey fan. So
I'll play you a bar of that. You ready?
let's do it.
Please.
Oh, yeah.
He took the midnight train going anywhere. Thank you.
Gosh, George,
Whatever.
you're butchering it, dude. Stop.
Oh, shut up. So, Tony, it appears that we've got Kelly's full attention. You were commenting on that
anytime you
earlier.
pick a guitar out and play like that, I know, look, all the musicians want to be athletes and all the athletes want to be musicians.
Yeah, that's not the case in my life. And it's bad that I couldn't hear you, Tony. I didn't get to hear it. Some things I can hear.
You couldn't hear that?
No, I can't hear it. I can't hear the music when it comes on, the bump music. I didn't hear that.
Oh.
Is that
So
because
you
you're
can hear me
deaf?
right now. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway. Okay.
No, I'm not deaf. I just can't hear it. I mean, Billy hooked it up wrong. That's the problem.
Kelly had aspirations of rocket science, but he settled for quarterbacking. So
Wow.
Interesting.
Nice. So
is that correct, Tony? Rocket science.
Yes.
So were you able to hear your head coach today at the podium?
Yeah, and the thing about Josh Heupel is, and I love him because he's a really good man, but man, in these settings, he just talks, and it's kind of what he does. It's not really his thing, and he's not really good at it. So,
are you saying that he talks a lot and says very little?
He's mastered the art of that. The whole modern coach thing, George, of talking and saying nothing, he is a master at that because he's very guarded. He gives very little to the media. He wants his organization to be that way. That's how it is here. He's a good, solid football coach. I like him. But in terms of quotability, ain't going to be your guy.
So I asked Billy about this earlier. Are you surprised that he didn't get more pointed stuff about the Nico and how it ended?
Not really, George, because you and I both know that we've got a pretty compliant media that covers the Southeastern Conference for the most part, and they like access. So what are you going to do? Sit there and challenge him and, dig up old bones? From my perspective, I thought it was really interesting today. He talked about the quarterback situation because this is something we're going to talk about tomorrow on the show. Heupel is selling that there's a quarterback competition entering the summer or entering the camp. When the truth is, you just paid a guy $1 million. You didn't pay him $1 million to come in and carry a clipboard. When the other guy's making a couple $100,000 that he got just to stick around. That's kind of not how this works. But at the same time, you've got to make it look good to your team and say that today and say what he said. But so he's not going to call Joey Aguilar a starting quarterback, but Joey Aguilar is a starting quarterback unless he can't play.
Sort of the same thing happened a year ago at Vandy where Clark Lee put out there's a quarterback competition. Nate Johnson couldn't have carried Diego Pavia's jock, and I don't mean that ugly, but it was a wipeout. It was a TKO within a week. Do you think that's sort of the way it is here?
I don't know. I mean, it's really interesting because there's no roadmap for this thing. The one thing Josh Heupel said today, which I thought was kind of interesting, because he knocked down the excuse. Now, he can always go back and reuse the excuse if things don't work out for Tennessee this fall. But he knocked down the excuse that he goes, you know what? Quarterbacks get hurt in week 1 all the time in our league. So if a guy, in this case, I had a full summer with him to ramp up my backup quarterback. If that's the way you want to look at it. Like, say Nico would have started the year and, broke his ankle or something, in week 1 or some crazy thing like that, which happens, in this sport. It happens.
It does.
And so he said, well, in this case, we've had all summer to get a guy ready. The difference is this guy was not on your roster. This guy was not familiar with your offense. we see, to the people that can see the visual of this, that's the man we call Joey Football, who could be, when it's all said and done, one of the great stories in college football this year. The entire sport will be cheering for him and cheering for Tennessee for this to come out well for them. But they're not going to be cheering for Nico Nerfball on the West Coast, because Nico Nerfball is less than Joey Football. Nico Nerfball ain't going to happen for him. I'm sorry.
So, Tony, I never dreamed I was going to ask this question. I really hadn't thought about it, except that a listener put it out there. There is a free agent on the market right now that's better than Joey Aguilar. This kid, I saw him a lot a year ago. Jake Retzlaff from BYU is the real deal.
Yeah.
Do you hear anything on him?
No.
As far as where he's going?
No. I don't know. Does BYU, do they try to get him back, George? Do they forgive and forget and bring him? I mean, how's that going to work? Because I haven't heard him be anywhere. And, there are the NCAA will make special dispensations for these guys and create a window for a guy. I mean, I don't know what happens to him. He is a very capable and able quarterback, though. I'm sure a bunch of people would love to have him.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out, because through unusual circumstances, he enters the free agent market in early July. He makes the decision, I'm not sticking around for them to punish me. He apparently knew enough to know, okay, I'm going to get 7 games. Screw that. I've got a pro, potential in me.
Yeah.
So both of y'all, it would appear to me that if a school who thinks they're going in one direction suddenly figures out early, oh, wait a minute, this guy's a dud, does somebody sign this guy in mid-August?
Maybe. I mean, look, the next step in this whole thing is Nico did it at the end of spring. A guy's going to hold out in one of these camps. That's your next step. That's your next step. These guys have asked for this. These coaches have asked for it. These coordinators have all gotten fat and happy. Everybody's making 7 figures. You were talking about Jimmy Sexton before. He started all this nonsense. And they've asked for it. And sooner or later, a kid and the father, Kelly knows it's going to happen. It's going to happen. They're begging for this. And by your logic, George, there's no loyalty anymore. So I see my guy can't play, and the Retzlaff guy's available, and why don't I call him? Get him into school, get him enrolled, fast track him. But here's the problem. He doesn't know what I'm doing.
Right.
I mean, the guy here had enough time. Joey Football, I love him. He's a great story. But has he had enough time to learn what's going on here? I mean, if this stuff is as complex as everybody says it is, and this kid comes in here and balls out after Diego Pavia came in last year and balled out, and the kid at Oklahoma comes in and balls out, this ain't going to look so complicated. It's going to look like it's college football.
So, okay, Kelly, you know this stuff better than we do. Retzlaff was really good a year ago at BYU. So he's sitting out on the market, and best as I know, he's the only one on this invisible market. Does this happen like in the next 2 or 3 days, or does this play into August?
Who knows, George? That was, I think Tony just answered the question that I was going to ask. What has Josh Heupel said about Joey Aguilar, about him, coming on to the offense? Has he said anything about how he's looked he hadn't said anything. So it takes years sometimes to get this stuff, and they're young kids. They don't really know football yet. They're just going out. Athleticism is taking over the day for these guys, and they don't really know the offense. And I've used on this show before, there's been times when I've been sitting into a position meeting with all the quarterbacks, and I've been in the offense for 3 years, and there was something that you didn't truly understand, but then you go, oh, that's what you mean. And that was 3 years into it. So I just don't understand. And here's another thing that's going to happen too, I think, is if you're like a Joey Aguilar and you come into a situation and you look and you see, well, the kids that are behind me, they're not very good and they're not ready to play. So what's going to happen when he goes back to the coaches and said, you know what, I'm walking out unless you pay me more money because the guys behind me, they're not ready. So at some point, that's probably going to happen. I think Diego Pavia was a little different because he knew the offense, and they brought the offensive staff from
good
New
point.
Mexico State. So that's a little different. But, it's hard. It's tough to learn these offenses these days.
And thinking about it, the kid from Oklahoma comes with his offensive coordinator from Washington State. They're doing the exact model.
Yeah.
I like what Clark Lee said at the SC Media Day. He said, look, I was smart enough to know that I didn't know. And I wasn't afraid to admit that I didn't know because, a lot of coaches like to pretend like they have all the answers. One of the things I love about Heupel here is that he's proven that he can win with his fast break video game offense. And then last year, they put the restrictor plate on their quarterback and went out and won. They won 10 games doing it. So we're not gonna try to attack downfield as much. We're gonna bleed clock. We're gonna slow the ball down, slow the game down. We're going to play for possessions. We're not going to do the fast break stuff. We're not going to hurry up and run another stupid play like we did when Butch Jones was here. Hurry up to hurry up, in other words. So, and I get that line from my buddy Jerry Colquitt, who played here, but he said it on my show. He said, this offense, the Butch Jones run, what are we doing? We're hurrying up to run another stupid play. I mean, sit there and huddle. At least sit there and huddle. Give your defense a break. At any rate, the thing about Tennessee is it's a running offense first. It doesn't matter the back. They just have success running the ball, and they did last year. And so if you take that logic, what this kid has to do is hit a couple long passes per game. If this guy hits a couple long passes per game, it opens up their offense. And then furthermore, what it does is it could allow them to get back into sort of that fast break mode. The thing this kid does do well is throw the ball long. The thing that he has done that's hurt him is he's turned the ball over and he's made kind of gunslingery plays. So he's good enough to win for you, and he's also good enough to get you beat. But here's the deal. Heupel's offense, the way it's designed, mitigates throwing the ball in the middle of the field, throwing the ball up. That's not a part of what they do. If you guys will notice, it doesn't matter who's been under center in Heupel's time here, even dating back to Central Florida. They're not, even though they throw the ball a bunch, it's not a high interception type offense. They mitigate that stuff with their scheme. And so the question is, and this is a big question, we're 6 weeks out, can you get the gunslinger out of this guy enough and keep the competitor in there enough? And can you mitigate the propensity to turn the ball over by the design of your offense? And will he understand the design of the offense enough in order to make it a reality? And that, to me, is what makes 2025. These years are always interesting. College football is such an interesting game now. But, man, this one here is really, really interesting because they're trying to do it at warp speed.
Kelly, did I see you shaking your head as though no, we can't?
Yeah, it's here's the deal, and Tony said it on our show before. The guy's ultra confident, and when you get an ultra confident guy like that, he thinks he can make every throw, and that's where youth comes into play, because you try to make every throw, and then when you get my age, or when you get you play 13 years in the National Football League, you're like, hey, let's just run the offense, manage the game. That's what Tom Brady did. Everybody says, well, he's that's the whole stigma with me. That they were like, well, he's a game manager. Well, if you're a quarterback, you are a game manager. You can't turn the ball over. So it's hard when you've got a guy that's overconfident like that, that's got a lot of confidence in himself, which you have to have as a quarterback. But he's going to throw balls in tight windows because he's confident in himself and he thinks he can get it in there.
My son told me about Tom Brady. He still says it. He was a system quarterback. I'm like, system quarterback?
Everybody's a system quarterback.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, everybody has a system, and everybody has to fit in that system. But, again, Josh Heupel's system, though, Kelly, you will have to admit, it does take – he cuts the field in half.
He does.
You don't get the opportunities for the bad reads. They kind of take the bad reads away. is the point.
Well, what he does is he spreads the field out so much that it puts the defense in a predicament, and you've only got one guy in the box, so
It's
you've got you got five dudes in the box, so then they're going to run the football, and that's kind of what he wants to do. You're absolutely right. Like, people don't understand that. They throw the ball so much, and when Hendon Hooker was there, he threw it really well. Yeah. But he really wants to run the football, and that's kind of what he does. I mean, he gets guys, he puts defenses in uncomfortable situations, and if you just manage the game as a quarterback, there's a lot of open windows.
It's math, basically, is what he's doing.
Yes.
And some guys will go to the line and count, and some guys will try to make plays that aren't there, and they're hoping this guy will, be able to overcome the compulsions that he's had in the past, because you can't be compulsive and play that position. Whereas when he was when he got started at App State, they just kind of let him freewheel. Watson was telling us on the show, Watson Brown. He said, Max said, this guy's a hell of a competitor now. I mean, he was running around, he was trying to make plays, and they got to get some of that out of him here. You just, you can't do that in the SEC.
Well, if
you don't want to do it too much, though. You still want him to be himself.
Didn't those two teams play some crazy, like 72-60 kind of games?
He put a bunch of points up. Yeah, he sure did. And he ran around, and he's making plays, and I think he made I think he threw a pick in that game that got him beat or whatever. But whatever. The point is that Mac told Watson, he said he's a terrific competitor, and if anybody can do this, it'll be a kid like him who's got some confidence. Hey, Kelly, we're so desperate for information on this guy and what's going on that I told the story today on the air, and I'm sure people are cracking on me on chat boards, Twitter, whatever. But I had somebody email me and say that they saw this kid out with his teammates at Topgolf last week, and they were talking about how confident and kind of like, walking with his chest out this kid was, and how quarterbacky he kind of looked. And
the strut.
Versus, when you saw like a Nico out, I mean, no offense to Nico Nerfball, but I mean, he just did not project that. He just did not project that for whatever reason. And I don't know, I guess we have to be who we are. Certain people are different. What position would I play, Kelly, do you think, with my personality? Because my baseball coach, my brother taught at my high school, and he said to my baseball coach, my brother's on your team? He goes, yeah, I needed some comedy, man. I need somebody to make me laugh.
If I had to pick a position for you, Tony, I believe you would probably be the backup holder. You might not even be the backup. I'd say the third string holder.
I'm holding 3 fingers up right now in my mind, and you can pick one out. So some of that, big boy.
Very nice.
But I will say this, George. Hey, today, Kelly Holcomb gets an A+ because, as we've talked, he has been, for a guy that couldn't hear me play guitar for whatever reason, he is really, really locked into every moment on here right now. I'm talking about every breath, every pause, every moment.
Focus.
George and Billy, man. Was it good? Was his guitar playing good?
It was quite good.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
Nice. Hey, I got one question, because I know we're running out of time, but I got one question.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Greg Sankey gets up there and he talks all this and talks all that, and it's a bunch of blubberish whatever. But I said it yesterday on the show. Like, it's amazing to me how everybody is getting left out other than the SEC and the Big Ten now. They're not even talking about the Big 12. They're not talking about the ACC. How much has the power been wielded to the SEC and the Big Ten? I mean, it's kind of crazy that they're speaking, like he's speaking this way, like, well, we're kind of at odds over this and over that. They're not even thinking about the other conferences.
They could care less. In fact, those leagues don't have long to live. I mean, that's how this is going to work. You're going to have the AFC and the NFC. The SEC is going to be the NFC, and the Big Ten is going to be the AFC, and that's going to be that. And we're going to call it something, and it's going to be a 40 or 50 team league. And, you're already seeing the formation of it. They could care less, Kelly, about those other leagues.
So let me ask you this. Everybody, and Kirby Smart talked about the 9 games. He kind of liked the 9 games, but like, if they're going to go to that at some point, 5, 6, 10 years down the road,
Yeah.
why are they worried about 9 games? Because it's going to be just the NFL South is what it's going to be, and they're going to have to play 12 big games. They're not going to have these Louisiana Monroes and Troys and, Murray States of the world. They're going to have to play each other for 12 games.
Coaches have a lot of power. The coaches want that 8-game schedule in the league. They don't want to play 9, and that's what Kirby Smart basically said. I used to be for 9. That clip you guys played, he said I used to be for 9 games, and then I watched last year the way they punished teams that lost games late in the year, and they took 10-2 teams out of other leagues instead of 9-3 teams out of our league,
right.
and and these records are not created equal. He's right. I mean, for example, last year Ole Miss was kept out of the playoffs by a 1-win in the SEC Kentucky team that beat them there. Now, you could say, well, you lost to a 1-win team, you don't deserve to go. The truth is, Ole Miss, that does not exist in the Big Ten. That doesn't exist in most conferences, or not Ole Miss, but a Kentucky. A no-win team going on the road and beating somebody in a meaningful football game does not happen in these other leagues, and it happens frequently in the SEC because you always get very good players on the field. You got NFL talent on all these teams, and that's the bottom line.
Tony, you're absolutely right. Kelly has been very focused. We're
Yeah.
both very proud of him.
Mhm.
Billy, do you have something for your daddy?
Yes. Tony, Josh Heupel earlier today said that Tennessee has 24,000 individuals on the season ticket waiting list.
Yeah.
Could Neyland Stadium ever expand again?
No, that's a myth. Those guys saying that, I mean, God bless them and God bless America. They don't have a 24,000 seat waiting list. What happens is, what Tennessee does is, when people call in and inquire and say, are tickets available, they put people on some list. George, does that mean that you're going to buy tickets? If you call in and say, hey, are tickets available? Danny White, I mean, God bless America. God bless him. He's great at his job. That is a lie. They do not have 24,000 season ticket waiting list. That is not the truth. It sounds great. It's great to repeat. And I mean, I should be playing into it, but that's just not the reality. That's not reality.
I'm laughing because when I was at Memphis State, this was a big issue on Sports Talk Radio. We were playing in the Mid-South Coliseum, which seated 11-2. But the year after I left, they were going to move into the pyramid that sat, I don't know, 18 or whatever. And they were talking about this huge waiting list, and the talk show hosts would all debate, okay, is it true or is it BS? And it turned out to be BS.
Right, because here's my thing about Neyland Stadium. If that was the case, okay, why aren't all the games hard sellouts? Every game.
Yeah.
Which they're not. They're not. And so quit saying there's a 15, like last year was a 13,000 seat waiting list. And look, I'm for the Vols. I graduated from Tennessee. But that's just, I mean, people around here, they just know that's not true. Now, a lot of people are going to want to believe everything your AD tells you. And the guy's a great marketer, and it's all marketing, and it's sleight of hand, and it's creating a supply and demand deal, but it's not true. And now they've grown it to 24,000. I mean, what are we going to play games eventually? I mean, my question for them would be, what are we going to move our games to the Bristol Motor Speedway to accommodate demand? I mean, go play in a 130,000 seat arena. I mean, what are we doing? It's not true. It's just not true.
Okay. For a person who has never heard your show in the Middle Tennessee area, and I don't know if there is such a person, how would they hear you?
Well, you could find us at tclub.team. You could see us on YouTube at Tony Basilio. I've got up on our YouTube channel. I just dropped a video yesterday, an odds maker who talks about he made odds on all 12 Tennessee games you can bet on and the reasons why. And one of the things he talks about, George, is that in college football, where you start with a line and where that line goes once the season starts these days can be a radical departure. What they think about a game right now to what you think about a game, even like 2 weeks into the season. And he said it fluctuates now like never before. And you can get value right now if you know what you're doing in some of those markets.
And also if you get lucky injury-wise.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. Thank you as always.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.